Hello, dear viewers. Thank you for joining us for an additional show, the series The Solution, where we're talking about Baal HaSulam's social approach. We have with us Dr. Rav Laitman, and we have our economic consultant with us. Before we start, you can see all the shows in our website, in the archive. Let's get going. Rav Laitman, we spoke in the previous shows about the altruistic economy where we're working to fill one another, and that's what will bring us to eternal happiness, while at the same time our basic necessities are supplied quite easily. When we look at the natural environment of a person, we see that the family is the closest unit to him. In the show today, we want to verify the correct approach to manage the home, the household, and we want to get input for a bunch of programs about the integral education program. So our first question is, what has to be the corrected approach to the economic management of the household? Help me build an answer. I'm not an economist. The approach has to be simple, that each person in society has the right to receive what he needs to exist. That's what Baal HaSulam wrote in the Last Generation book. And that's why his family deserves what they need. I've seen in houses the list that people make when they go to the on the refrigerator, on the door, or the wall, what to buy, and there's some lists that are in advance. Bread, sugar, milk, and a whole bunch of other blank spaces, where a person puts in something that's characteristic for his family, and for another family, say the neighbor would say something else. I get gefilte fish, and he gets some mustard. There's things that are common to everyone, and some things are according to someone's nature. But at the end of the day, this list gives us already some kind of perception that at the end of the day, this is what a person needs. This is what they buy. And if we're already talking about people who are not confused by advertising and all that running around, then gradually, through education, the integral education, and also by this way of life, we are approaching a place where our consumption will be similar, more or less. Everyone, it will be the same between everyone. Everyone will do whatever they want with their piece of meat, and with their vegetables, they'll do what they want. But it's clear to us what this consumption, this regular consumption, should be. How much he needs for all the different things in the home, the daily things that he needs. Okay. So we're going to remain in the corrected state, and we're going to read what Baal HaSulam wrote in the Last Generation. It is good to make such a correction that no person will demand his needs from society. Rather, there will be a selected group of people who will examine the needs of everyone and provide for every single person. Public opinion will denounce one who claims something for himself, such as today's thief and scoundrel. So we need education here. He doesn't write it, but here we really need first and foremost an educational system that's really close to each person, so that adults and kids and everyone through this education will understand what's worth it for them, what's not worth it for them, that a person will feel that he's part of the society and won't ask for more or less, won't claim more or less. He knows what he's missing and what he's not missing. And if he's missing, he can always add stuff. It's not that we're in some kind of a dictatorship that's like a jail, that's counting how many spoons you took in and took out. It's, of course. But altogether, we need to bring an individual and entire society to a place where the consumption is rational. It's not minimal, it's not minimalistic, and not just basic necessities. Like we think, if I want to eat again today, like suddenly my body is demanding I went to gym or something else, or I'm sick or I'm healthy. And so of course we're talking about the general consumption of a person. We're saying that in the corrected state, the society supplies to a person everything that he needs. We're talking about that apparently all these supermarkets and all these things will disappear, and people will receive their supplies directly to their house. Is there even a need for home management, home economics? In such a case, it's not that you don't have alternatives. Anyhow, you get all kinds of, every month you get a budget. Every day you know what you need more or less. For the morning, for the afternoon. We're also talking about people who, where they learn, they might eat as well. Society will be more mixed. More like today, we're at work, we're at the workplace, then there's people that will be in places where they can study, we're gathering places for connecting, etc. And we're talking about that there will be breakfast and lunch and possibly dinner. Meals, probably lunch and dinner. Children go to school and get meals there. There's more emphasis on that, but it doesn't matter. The kitchen, there has to be a kitchen in each house and cleaning materials. One of the needs today for managing the household properly, since there's so many alternatives and products, there's so much abundance, there's overconsumption. It's not alternatives. We know it's just a sticker that's different. But a person still gets confused and he consumes more than he needs and it costs him a lot of money. It's not because he needs it. It's because he's advertised. And so he's forced. If you leave him alone, you'll see he'll go down himself to something normal. Just like they write this list on their fridge. So that's why this corrected situation that we're talking about, where they're not advertising right and left and installing all kinds of desires that they don't really need. Is there even a need for a function that's called household management? Maybe there's nothing really to choose from. He eats at work. The kids, he works in where he gets the courses. What do we need to manage at home? We want to manage it as a corrected society. We don't want to have surplus. We want a person to consume what he needs for his good, for his health, and not feel limited on the one hand. On the other hand, we don't want from the start things that will be thrown out and we don't know what to do with this surplus. If today it's 30-40% of what they bring to the supermarkets is afterward thrown out to the garbage, we don't want to reach that. We want to reach a state where everyone receives what's good for them, what's healthy for them. They want to receive it. They're prepared. There's different types. One wants 5%, wants 3%, one wants cottage, one wants cream. No one's forcing everyone to have one standard. We're talking about rational consumption. And that's it. Maybe it sounds like in the army, like you have this and this and this and nothing else. You have from everything a certain selection, not abundance like you do today. All the abundance is just for people to make more profit, a few more companies. So the surplus will no longer be there. No one's actually making money from it, not the consumer or the society. We need to see these two goals for the consumer and the society, that they profit together. Profit meaning that it's good for both of them. You mean in opposition of what's happening today, the consumer will plan some kind of budget, what he needs, and as a result, afterward, there will be realistic economy. The direction will be opposite. Yes, only from that. And again, it's in accordance with what people want. That if somebody wants to continue with what his grandmother did, cook a certain thing, we can buy something that's prepared. It all depends. It all depends on the consumers. But from education, people will go through education and understand themselves that it has to be healthy, it has to be enough, and everyone will have everything. If we look after this, all the surplus today will go around the whole world. We'll be able to supply everyone, and in that collaborative economy, where's the independence in running the household? What do you mean in economic independence? His ability to choose. We're getting a picture. What do you mean between this cottage cheese and that cottage cheese? It's not about cottage cheese. So what? Nobody has economic independence. Everyone has brainwashing from the media. So here he'll truly have independence, that he'll go according to his tastes and not someone who's confusing him. Can you explain a bit what economic independence is? I see on TV, I see things, what's good, what's bad, how much fat is good, how much fat is bad, how much milk you need, at what age, etc. And according to that, I can choose things. But actually, if you go into each and every family, they'll tell you what they want. How much one kid wants a bisli a week, and how much pickles the parents want. I don't know. It's clear to everyone. You're looking how we'll limit a person, how we'll pressurize a person, how we'll put them into some film. And I'm looking at education, that within the system where they're being educated and everyone's going through education, through this system also the rational consumption is there as a kind of a syllabus, curriculum that they go through, that they discuss in workshops together, and as a result of that, they reach rational consumption. Like Baal HaSulam says, each and every family, with each and every family, special people come. What do you want to change? What else do you want? Next week we'll supply you with this or that. It's not that they knock on your door. It's not like the internet today, that it doesn't matter how they do it. But at the end of the day, they eat at work, they eat at school, the places where they're learning. That will be everywhere. I see that the people that work in our factory, we're at lunch, and we really think about having a breakfast and dinner there also, and whoever wants to can take food home. People can take food home, there's no problem. These things are... It's so cheap, it's so easy to supply anyone with in a rational manner. We don't need to calculate.
מה שרציתי לשאול, מה שתיארת עכשיו, בעבר לא הצלחנו לעשות איזשהו
מערכת שתבדוק טעמים של כל צרכן וצרכן כפרט. We didn't manage to make a system that verifies everybody's situation. You say we need a system that everyone receives according to what they need. They can choose a hot pepper or a gefilte fish. Is there some kind of technology that has to be developed that will supply what each person needs according to the rational economy? First of all, I think that in every workplace, if you go into restaurants, there's some special restaurants, but altogether people eat more or less. I go around the world to many places. Chile, Brazil, Argentina, Canada. I was in Japan, Russia, Europe. I don't see some special problem in food, even in totally distant places, varied places. It's actually the development of tourism in our time shows this. Not everyone has to have hamburgers, and of course. But at the end of the day, most people have quite similar consumption in every place. I'm not talking about exotic places. Exotic places, if we're talking about like Vietnam or Asia, you supply the consumers with what they need. There's snakes and frogs and whatever. But if you're talking about Europe, it's European food. In Israel, it's a bit of a problem because here there's a melting pot. Here, in a few square kilometers, you have the whole kitchen of the whole world. All kinds of things. I don't see any problem. Wherever I go, wherever I happen to be, there's pretty similar food. Vegetables and meat, fish like this or like that. Dairy. Like you're in some hotel. You stop for a few days. Look at the breakfast there. It's pretty standard in every place. We give lunch here to people. So what? If they want something special, they can make it at home. And maybe we can order. I think that the integral education will bring people closer and make them not people that are similar in their tastes, but are less sensitive to those differences and special needs. I don't think that in the future state we'll have to invest in something that requires. If it is not demanding, we can drink the best wine that may cost $1,000 a bottle today. But if it doesn't require such great effort, it's all a matter of advertising. We'll try to make the best of everything in the simplest manner, but not that. I don't think that a new approach to home economics is in the best things, most healthy. You can make them the cheapest. If you're not into making profit off people, and your profit, you will see how to supply them. It's good and it's yummy. Today, it's not a problem. The technology is there. Is it possible to reach a household economy from a natural desire or education? Education. We're saying that the desire will become rounder and technology is developing. So maybe we'll naturally get to a balanced economy, but there's blows on the way. What do you mean? It's just that, as usual, if we don't go to educate people for the new stage, why should he want to? Do you listen to the media or not? I want to see what he's getting down to. We're talking about a natural process where technology is developing. We need less people to work. Also, the desire is becoming rounder. People feel less. People will barely work at all. The desire is becoming rounder. People will naturally want less and less from all the abundance. Naturally, you can reach a balanced household economy. What's the special importance of education? Through education, first of all, you reach a corrected society. You reach an agreement what the best types of food are, the healthiest. You're talking about education at a level where he's investing in his spiritual development. Then he doesn't need all kinds of foods. He's totally into what he's studying. If you wait for his will to receive, we'll reach that stage. It'll take lots of time. There'll be revolutions and wars and God knows what. So education prevents conflicts that we go through. Because we go through things in our human development, it was always with war and bloodshed. And at the end of the day, we are exchanging our agenda at its foundation. And this is how we're going from state to state. And look what rights we had to go from slavery to the Middle Ages, from the Middle Ages to capitalism. And now from capitalism to some kind of other new format. Let's say this integralism, or I don't even know what to call it. Let's say communism, but not as it was in the past. It was rotten. It was always came along with great strife. So here, for the first time in history, actually, we can make this transition. It's a necessary transition. That's the nature, tendency. We can go through it smoothly. We can want to agree with it, and through education. So I think that's our whole approach. That's what we recommend doing. The fact that we'll be in a new state, there's no question. And from year to year, we see more and more that the world is talking about it. If 5 or 10 years ago they used to make fun of me, now they're not laughing anymore. They see that it will really happen like this. But for it to happen in a pleasant, good, soft way, we have to operate education. I believe that without education, then we're looking for blows. Who's the stronger? Who's less strong? Where there's survival of the fittest, we have to see that the wise person is the one that wins. He's the one making the standard for humanity. That won't happen with the people of today. In this situation that you're talking about, do you think there'll be limits on the standard of living? That's also a result of education. It's not from limitations. People don't need to feel any limit, just the opposite. Will there be a necessity for it? No. Education will change them to such an extent that they won't need any more. We also don't understand why there needs to be limitation. What Baal HaSulam is talking about is not limitation. If you're in a society, that the society itself, behind the scenes, through recognition and understanding and general society, public opinion, gives us such thoughts that you're not satisfied. I don't want to say satisfied, but you feel good with it, convenient, that you're consuming according to a certain list and not making the list 2 or 3 times and throw it out and throw it into the garbage. You feel yourself as an integral part of the society to such an extent that it's convenient for you it's sort of to be satisfied with, but you don't feel like you're just being satisfied. If you need 3 cottage cheeses and you give me 2, so you'll take 2. But if you want, okay, take a 3rd one. So you're saying it's 100% success of the integral education. Yes, and like gradually today we throw 40% of our food away. Some things that people don't even open, they throw it out like that. So instead of 40%, they'll throw out 30%, then 20%, then 10%, gradually. But it's all through education. Without education, until a person will reach it, will there be people in that society, in the integral society, that will determine what's acceptable consumption-wise in the society? I don't think so. I think that just like today, you have more or less a certain standard. Take a list from your wife. Bring it to me. You want to, will you be satisfied with that? Or are you thinking what I can add? If I'm thinking if I'm going shopping or not. I think that to start from that same list and to see what's rational here, what's optimal. There's no point in our time when we have such abundance to limit people in any way. I make a list. So I know. I need 2 tomato, 2 cucumber, 1 onion, and that's how I do every day. One day I'll have fish, one day meat, coffee like this, like that. It's the normal things. Sometimes when my wife wants to spoil me, that has nothing to do with shopping. Then it's a request for special request. Today, one of the accepted ways to manage household affairs is to have an argument about prices. And you explained that your teacher, Rabesh, did not argue over prices in stores or ask for a discount in stores. It's not behavior that suits spirituality. How would you expect the spiritual consumer to behave? If I go into a store and ask how much it costs, without buying. It's called thieving from someone's mind, because I'm asking without any intention to buy. You mean, what if you're not sure? Let's not get into it. It's called deceit. It's things that are a little bit higher than usual. So what does it mean? He used to buy good things, normal, not second class or third class. He used to say this. He said there's only one type of meat, the first class, the best. There's wine and stuff like that, that there's special delicacies, how long ago it was produced, where it came from, but fish, meat, potatoes, tomatoes, all those normal things, There's no types. It's yes or no, good or bad. That's it. So the spiritual consumer has total faith in the system and the prices. He doesn't feel anyone's cheating him. The spiritual consumer, after he's gone through the education, he's in a corrected state, he receives what he ordered. It's brought to his home. And all of us were serving one another. Some of us are in studies. Some of us during the day were distribution, dissemination, all kinds of acts like that, education of kids, etc. And we're almost never in production because everything's becoming minimized. It's all being done automatically. And all our work is in serving one another. It's done by us, but happily, because it's part of the agreement between us. So this we don't want to leave. Wherever we can truly serve one another, we leave these works specially for that because it's worth it to us. It strengthens the love and connection. We want to continue with another quote from Baal HaSulam from Peace in the World. Reality shows us that there is no right to exist for an isolated individual without a sufficient number of people around him to serve him and help provide for his needs. Hence, a person is born to lead a social life to begin with. And each and every individual in society is like a wheel that is linked to several other wheels placed in a machine. And this single wheel has no freedom of movement in and of itself, but continues with the motion of the rest of the wheels in a certain direction to qualify the machine to perform its general role. Baal HaSulam, peace in the world. That's what we feel now that we're going into in this connection. It's being revealed. The truth is that it's true that we're always in this mutual connection, like cogwheels that are connected to each other and dependent on one another. But it wasn't so emphasized. Someone is like closing us in now with a clutch. And we're beginning to rotate in this manner, in this unified manner together. Therefore, we have no choice. The more we see this machine, this interdependence, that we need to agree. Otherwise, we're going to ruin the machine. It can't rotate. It can't run any other way. This interdependence obligates us to agree with this work, to agree to accept the conditions of nature, to agree to rotate like this according to our desire, even though nature isn't obligating us. We'd still want to do it. To such an extent, our desire would be in accordance with nature, that we'd be free. Even though we'd be turning around according to nature, we'd feel free because these rotations are precisely for my benefit. And I corrected my ego not to turn around how I feel like from lack of understanding. But I want to rotate with everyone together, so I feel free. That's called the integral education that allows us to be connected along with others and feel it as the best situation, best possible situation. So each and every one of us becomes a cogwheel, yes, and it's already like that. Just today, how much pain and problems that we don't know how to turn around. And you profit, the profit, all of humanity feels like one huge machine if you're in harmony with everyone. Now we want to switch to the transition phase, the phase that we're in today. And the goal is to verify what are the principles of the integral education that are relevant for our time, for the correct management of the household. And the first question is, what, according to your approach, are the correct principles for household management today? How, in your opinion, do we need to arrange the house? According to what principles? Just to take some home and start talking about it? A home that wants to implement the principles of the integral education, a family, one family. What can they do? I don't know. I'm always going with the flag of education before everything else, and also in the home. First, I'll go with education. A family that begins to read, to listen, to understand what's happening in the world, what's happening with it, what's happening with people, with each and every one. They treat life differently, everything that you have. There's people in the world that live at all kinds of standards of consumption. And at each and every level, there's people that are happy. There's some people that have everything at the highest level and feel that they're choked, that they can't allow themselves anything. It all depends how a person relates to life. And that's what we need to balance out. That the state that he's in and he's capable of being in, that he'll feel himself, that he's like that same little cogwheel that's turning along with everyone and in harmony. Then he won't feel that he feels bad. We see it according to research. Where are the happiest people? In some far-off country that has that doesn't have any surplus. Even basic necessities they don't have. But what? They're all rotating together. You don't feel that you're in, that each one's blocking the other, pressuring the other. Then they have this feeling of harmony, of general harmony. And then he's satisfied with what he has, but he doesn't feel that he's... So that's why I'm saying everything depends on education. And we even need to persuade ourselves. You see how difficult it is. If you say what to do in a family, first of all, that to educate itself. And then through education, they will feel free. That even though you have a very limited budget, you'll see it as unlimited. You'll see that it's not just basic necessities, but that it's rational, and even more than that. You'll understand that it's even worth it for you to switch from those the special things, to buy simpler things. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even influence your health. Just the opposite, usually. And it all depends how a person relates to things. If a person feels to the extent that he's satisfied with something or not. Therefore, here again, I would put education ahead of everything. Still, education before everything. A person that goes through the course, we'd expect them to behave differently than they do today. First of all, the course is never over. A person goes into his life today where he goes to work for 10 hours a day. He goes into work of 10 hours a day, which is work. He's studying, he's going through workshops, teaching others, is mutually supplying one another in the social system, and that's how everyone is. He's not free, he's not doing anything. And then in that, he's gradually changing by going through education. But again, the education has to go into each and every corner, part between people to fill everything, to fill his cells in his brain and his tummy, and between man and his friend. We're in a situation of today where the integral education, we're starting this whole system, but still, if a person has a mortgage or debt, he goes through a course. We're talking about the situation today. What do I expect him? How does he behave differently in his house while going through the course? We expect him to know in that same course that he'll be taught how to balance, how to control himself in a manner that he'll know how to deal in the meantime with the conditions of the transition period. Of course, we need to teach them what to do. If he has debts and suddenly he finds himself without work, he left the workforce, he left the factory or the office closed down, and there's no chance of getting more work. He gets unemployment or scholarship. It's the new situation in society, so we have to make sure that he's not thrown out of the house. He needs to get basic necessities. His kids need to keep going to school. He himself has to take part in the new education. We have to look after this. If you don't look after it, what's he going to do? I'm asking you, what other choice do you have today? You'll see. They're throwing tens and thousands of people out of their houses in Spain. The houses are empty. People are in the street. Who's making a profit off that? Who needs their houses? No one. What are they going to do in the street with their families? You're waiting for them to come to the heads of parliament and kill them? Why are you continuing in this manner? You have to put them now straight into the new trend of living. You need to understand, you need to see that there won't be work for anyone. Plan your life, plan it in such a way that there won't be any work. What will happen? People will be on the road. If they're in the road, then tomorrow you'll be on the road. Even if you manage the whole country, you won't be able to be sure of yourself even. Apart from that, what are you building? A new economy in this manner? Who needs these things? You have no choice. You have to look after the population. There's no question even. Otherwise, they'll look after you, you know. That's it. Tomorrow they'll hang you. So what do you recommend? That's why I'm saying. So with all this new situation, we need to accept the new situation as the necessary situation that we need to go through in history. We have no choice. There's no work, but a person's not at fault. You have to give everyone the basic minimum, the basic necessities, and demand what from a person what you're capable of. And today we're in a situation where technology and all those things where we're capable of doing this. But the problem is that we have to go through the integral education, those people that are at the top. Let's say I understand what you're saying and I want to go through the integral education. I'm a working person and I go into this system of integral education. The integral education is a collection of knowledge that a person must know. To which method, to which paradigm he's entering, which world he's entering. We're sitting on the train, and the train is going by from one area to the next. So we're approaching the new area. There's a different life. That's called an integral education. There we need to see how to manage our world, our lives today. We see that the conditions are changing and we relate to life like before. The conditions are changing. Thousands of people are going out to the street. They're being thrown into the street. Their kids stop going to school. These people don't get any kind of treatment as citizens. They're just canceled out. They have nothing to do. They lose their human form. Their kids don't want to learn. What do they need to learn for if there's not going to be work? If my father doesn't have work, why do I need to learn? You are destroying the people and the country if you relate to everything that's happening now in the old-fashioned manner. That's why the integral education is first and foremost to open your eyes and show where we're headed toward, what's happening here, to understand. And in accordance with that, to flow with it. I, as a simple citizen, I entered this system, and I want to realize the principles that I'm learning about, and also as the home economics part. I still live in an external environment that's not all going through this process. How do I deal with the influences of this external environment under the subject of the home economics? Kids want a new iPhone. How do I balance these two things together, these two systems? You're talking about one home, not the general politics of the, let's say, a few houses, a family, but only part of them are going through it. You deal with it like anything. If you have a few kids and each one wants a new iPhone, then what, you're going to run out and buy them? No, I don't think so. First, you look how much money you have, and if you don't have enough in your pocket to buy your basic necessities, then you don't buy them anything. But at least you know what you're heading toward. That's the whole problem. I don't understand these questions. I want to sharpen the question. I'm a working person. I'm an Israeli person. Today, everything's fine. In the family, I'm missing something. I read an advertisement. There's a course, Integral Education, Household Management, and there's another course for Household Management. What's the difference between the two? Here they show me to cut things and not look at advertisements. In the regular course, they don't teach you that stuff. What's the difference between our course, the Integral Education Household Management, and a regular household management course? In our course, they don't teach you how to be satisfied with less. They don't teach you that at all. We don't touch on that at all. But rather, they start opening your eyes to life, about the ecological system, health system, how we look at our lives, and how the advertising works, and who profits if you just buy things that you don't need, and on and on. From that, it's like stopping smoking. From that, you start to get a new approach to life. And in that, you don't no longer feel that someone was persuaded not to smoke, and for him it was hard. I'm a smoker. So if I don't smoke for a few hours, I feel that I'm missing oxygen. It kills oxygen, but that's how I feel. I take a cigarette. You saw how I inhale. People inhale like they're inhaling oxygen, or the opposite. But that's how he feels. So again, you begin to feel, after the integral course, that you're not going to be satisfied with a little. You're going toward rational life. You're going to get satisfaction. Like someone who's weaned off smoking, he stops smoking and he feels satisfaction from it. Not that he's disconnecting from the pleasure, but he's going to get an additional pleasure by not having what he had before, and he no longer needs it. He enjoys not needing those things, those good things. We know there's nothing good about it, but if the food is healthy and if it's delicious, it's delicious. And we have the simple foods, the national foods, and that's it. You are making it easy for people to head to very simple, modest, but we don't feel that it's modest. And it's normal, it's done in a normal and good way and with pleasure. What satisfaction does a person get? What satisfaction does a person get from doing the course? That he's connected to everyone. He's connected to the new trend of life, the correct one. And in that he connects to nature, that we're all going through it, like going on a train to some new city. He really gets satisfaction from it. There's support, there's a society, they do workshops, they have all kinds of discussions. It's like the Alcoholics Anonymous or drug abuse programs. They get lots of satisfaction from it. And apart from that, in a health manner, God forbid, you're not short of anything. You teach him how to be in balance with nature. That's mainly what you explain to him. According to nature, how we need to behave, like this, and like this. Give me a champagne in the morning, and in the afternoon, some cream cake, and in the evening, some hamburger. I won't be able to eat any of that. Let's eat what's good for our horse. That's it. And not what's good for someone over there that wants to profit all the time from my buying. Using it for one day, throw it out to go to work. I buy, I throw it out. I work, I buy, I throw it out. I don't want to be in this rat race, because in these circles there's nothing except for running, and whoever makes money is making money from it. So I don't want to be in that. Those same courses for household management, the integral ones, can we bring an expert that teaches household management today? No, he needs to learn. We have a university for those kind of people, where we teach those experts. So participation between us, how would it look? Collaboration between an external expert compared to the instructors from, he has to go through a course here. It's not simple. He has to get this new perspective, this new approach, this new feeling of the new life. It's also the foundations of the new society, the relations between people, the new laws, how they'll behave in the new society. For the first time, we are learning not about the fake system, how relations between us were in the feudalistic or communistic or capitalistic times, but rather we're talking about the change in man. The instructor in the integral course, he has to feel, he has to in some way be going through this transition. It's not expertise in your mind, it's expertise in your feelings. You have to be able to change toward the new life itself. I'm trying to explain the reason for the question. In the framework of the series that we're doing about household management, we're going to bring an expert who's an expert in this field of household management. That's why we want to hear. It's possible that if we speak with him about it, then more or less we'll find the path together. It's possible. How do you see this path? Only on the condition if he wants to be an independent expert about the integral household management, he has to go through an entire course with us. It might be much more difficult than him. It'll be difficult because he has to force himself to leave the old paradigm for the new. It's not like an average person in the street. But along with our people who are already experts in integral life, it might work. I'd be happy to meet those people. Yes. We can see where we can be in touch and continue. Our goal by bringing this expert is that people who are helping the course will be able to supply themselves with basic necessities, and they need to be open to the integral education. That's why we're bringing a person that's an expert. It's possible. I don't want to say yes or no. From the beginning, I'm ready and prepared to check working together, but I would imagine that the approach is so different that here I don't feel that you are having difficulty in understanding how education determines everything here. It has to be first. And it's truly changing the entire approach. that you're always like economists. First of all, you come from how much it will cost and this and that. And here the approach is, first of all, to bring a person to the new needs. Will a person feel from that collaboration that we're trying to get rid of his profession altogether? It's possible. I'll be happy to work with him. Still, his statistics, not all of them, but he has his statistics. He has an approach to check habits in the family, the kids. We have to think about the transition, that it will be as convenient as possible and soft for the entire population, for different populations. That's what we need them for. I don't disregard them, God forbid, in any way, what they know. I wanted to ask a question. We're trying to find a place of launching to the society, and household management is a pain point. So how would we do it? Through that same expert? Would we use his profession? Talking about things like integral education, it sounds like something very up in the air, but household management is something very concrete. I don't think that now is the time, but I'm talking about a situation where if thousands go out into unemployment, and you organize this university for them, then instead of everyone having work, they go to study. They get meals. They get a scholarship. We're not going to supply them with all kinds of products and things. You need to think how you teach them to live according to the scholarship that they receive. Today, a person receives 5,000 shekels a month. Let's just say, for example, apart from meals and his studies. Then how do you teach him how to be satisfied with that and not get into all kinds of problems? For that, you need still the old economy, but take into account that in the meantime, all this 5,000 shekels a month he's receiving on the condition that he goes through the education, and then from month to month starts having a new approach, and then in accordance with that, we can work with him in another way. We're close to the conclusion, and we want to ask a question for the end, a simulation. We're taking part in this integral education course, household management. We're working on it. What would you like to say? Say we had our first meeting with these people. I would say, I wish you all the best in this education, in this course, because this course will open your eyes to the new society that's coming close to us. Either we're going like a train into it, and each day we're discovering new signs that they won't be built on the previous economy, but on the new, completely new economy. Rational consumption, balanced, not according to someone profiting and whether it's working 1,000 hours with a light bulb or an hour. We need to go into the new society and what laws are there. And in that, we will want to get closer to it. We'll receive inside all kinds of sensations and feelings that will help us plan life today in accordance with the new laws being revealed. And suddenly we'll start to see how this next world that's approaching us is already exists partially. And today we see it as something disturbing us. And suddenly we'll be able to see it as something that's approaching and that it's desirable. So our entire life with this new trend will be pleasant and good. Our time is up, dear viewers. Thank you for being with us in another very interesting show about Baal HaSulam's teachings, social teachings. I want to remind you that you can see all the shows on our site, CAB-COIL. Thank you, Rav Dr. Michael Laitman. Thank you, Igal, and thank you, dear viewers, for being with us. Be with us in the next shows. So long.